Hey gang, we're going to start the introduction to disease notes. We're just going to go through some slides. You're going to fill in the red lines on your document as I go through the slides. All you need to do is go to the red line, double click on it, start typing in the answer that you see on the screen. Right now with the COVID-19 things, we could get really into the weeds about disease and whatnot, and I just want to take some time just to kind of briefly and generally talk about disease. So much is changing with how we get it, how it's spread, how to protect ourselves with COVID-19 that right now is not a really good time to get into that, and I couldn't speak to it really factually. So being that I'm not an expert, but I'm reading the news and whatnot, probably the same as you are. So we're just going to go into just kind of an overview of disease and how it's spread and things like that. So let's go through our document. So disease is an illness that affects the proper functioning of the body and mind. Communicable diseases are ones that can be passed from one person to another. So the common cold, COVID-19, mononucleosis, those kind of things are all passed from one person to another. So those are called communicable diseases. Germs are very small organisms that can only be seen under a microscope, and that's typically how we get disease and illness. So they attack 4 different ways. The first way is bacteria. It's a single cell organism. They live virtually everywhere: air, soil, food, and bodies of plants, animals, and humans. It's all over us, bacteria. It causes diseases by entering the cells and damaging them. They give off poison called toxins, and most food poisons are caused by bacteria toxins. So we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. A lot of times you've probably heard people taking probiotics. Probiotics are a way to help the bacteria in our stomach, in our gut, to help us break down food, and there's good bacteria that fight for us and against other germs to keep us healthy, as well as there's bad bacteria. Viruses are small pathogens, 100 times smaller than most bacteria. They take over cells' reproductive mechanisms, and they cause cell damage or death, cause many diseases. I've heard a lot about this right now with COVID-19, how it enters our body and destroys cells. Maybe you've heard some of that as well. Fungi are a small, simple organism related to mold. They grow best in warm, dark, moist areas. They cause things like athlete's foot and ringworm. Protozoa are a single-cell organism, 100 times larger and more complex in structure than bacteria. They live in fluids. They cause things like malaria, African sleeping sickness, amoebic dysentery. These are things that generally you get from drinking bad water or being around polluted areas. You can get an infection when germs or damage destroy the cells in the bodies. Now, I know this picture's gross, and if we were all together, we'd be like, ooh, oh my gosh, look at that. And really what it looks like to me is somebody who left their Band-Aid on too long, didn't wash, or let it air out, and didn't wash the area very well. And that's part 1. We'll come back next time for part 2, finish up the document, talk about how germs are spread.